You want to trade jobs this week?
That would be all right. Thanks. All right. Good afternoon. Felt pretty good till Mike came to get me and gave me this amazing stat sheet. I was convinced that everything was going to be just fine, and we got all these all-star stats here that I had to read over on my way over here. Appreciate that, Mike. And it's supposed to be a joke, and but really impressive. Y'all know this is probably the first week of the season that y'all want to actually talk about this week's opponent, right? I would expect we've got a bunch of Texas questions, and but excited about where we're at right now. As I said after our game, we're making incremental improvement every week, and we've become more efficient in all the areas that we really focused on in the out of season. Players have worked incredibly hard. Again, I like the team from a leadership. Very hungry. They're not easily satisfied. They've got great humility, great self-awareness, and where we need to get better, which there's places in all three phases of our program that we've got to get better from a offensive, defense, and a special team standpoint. But relatively healthy, other than the players that we've already talked about the last couple of weeks that we've lost for the season. And going to be, again, a wonderful environment against a really talented, hot Texas team. Play, on paper and on film, they play their best when they're playing really good people. And that's Texas has always risen to the occasion and done so. But coming off a really good, strong game last week against Kansas, where they had almost 700 yards of offense, and really were unstoppable. And they've been outstanding in all the areas. You peel it back, whether that's rush defense or pass defense or scoring defense or red zone defense. If that's offensively, how efficient that they've been. They've got incredible weapons at the skill position. They lost some great backs last year, and they've obviously shown they've really recruited well. Brooks is one of a number of their backs that is running really, really well. Worthy, Mitchell, Sanders, amongst others, are just some really incredibly talented players. Ewers he's a true freshman last year, played pretty dang good, and is playing at a really high level. Obviously against Alabama in Tuscaloosa, threw for just south of 350 yards and was the national player of the week. So again, we got a great challenge. They're spearheaded on defense by Jalen Ford. As good of a linebacker that's out there in college football, and special teams have been really strong for them. But again, I like where we're at as well. I want to see where we're at. If you want to continue to improve and create change, we're certainly not where we want to be in any way, shape, or form. That doesn't mean that you're not thankful for your players and their coaches and the hard work that guys have put in and the success that we've had. You got to celebrate. Can't forget to celebrate successes along the way, but always keep the right perspective about what lies ahead and what your objectives and goals and hopes are. And so again, as we said a number of times, we've got a lot of work to do, but our guys have done a lot of things really well. Did want to mention Dylan, who's been outstanding this year. He's one of 6 FBS players since the start of the 96 seasons to complete at least 75% of his passes through the first 5 games of the season, while also throwing for 15 touchdowns with 2 or fewer interceptions. And he's done a great job. We've had 14 different players offensively that have caught touchdowns this year. So speaks to the depth that we're developing at a variety of the skill positions as well. And then again, something that we've done a great job of as a team is we've taken care of the football, and we've created, several turnovers at being +8 in the turnover margin. And again, our guys are, working incredibly hard, as I said, but they know that we've left a lot out on the table as well. So I really like where we're at mentally, but again, recognize the excitement and all the things that go along with playing down in the Cotton Bowl. For us, our vision is, if we're fortunate enough to win the game, we'll be 6-0 and going into a bye week with back half of a season to go, and still a lot of work to do. And if for some reason, it doesn't work out the way we want it to, we're still going to go to the bye week, and we still got the back half of the season to attack and continue to improve and get better. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Start in the middle, Eric Bailey.
Brent, you've coached in multiple big games that have seen quality quarterback play. How big has quarterback poise been in those big games? And can you speak about the aspect of both Dylan and Quinn Ewers in this matchup, quarterback poise, and how important that'll be for both those quarterbacks?
Well, again, yeah, don't try to force the issue. Let the game come to you. But all successful quarterbacks will be the first ones to tell you they're successful because they're surrounded by pretty good parts. And, whether that's a good line, it's a good running game, that's, quality receivers that can get open and they can block in the run game, a defense that'll complement them and not, put them in tough positions. But poise is incredibly important at that position, without question. And everybody looks to that person from a leadership standpoint and, a focus standpoint. Sometimes emotionally as well, but that goes with that position from a leadership standpoint. A lot is on that guy, and they've got you have to have some special qualities. Both of those quarterbacks have special qualities, and both of them have been playing the position for a long time. And Quinn certainly is playing at South Lake there in Dallas, and then going to both Ohio State and Texas. He's in as big of an arena as you can be in, and both in high school and in college. So, but both of them are incredibly well equipped to have the right poise. It is an important quality trait to have in all situations, and this week will be no different. But I would be negligent if I didn't say part of that key is, again, just trusting the team that you have around you, and you don't try to, this week I got to put on my Superman cape. That's not the case. And but you got to play well. You can't go around and fart around and make bad decisions and not have great ball security and not execute, within the system. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brent, obviously in a game like this, establishing the run can be really important.
Yeah.
But where do you feel like your running game is right now, and specifically Marcus Major? How do you feel about how he stands here?
Yeah, Marcus stands great. We want to continue to improve in our run game and in every part of our, again, all of our schemes on both sides of the ball. We're not, where we need to be yet, and so it always has been an important part of this game. If you peel it all the way back, rushing the football is incredibly important. A team that is better at running the ball, and the turnover margin, the big play margin will have a big impact on the game.
Yeah, Brent, this is historically this is a series of streaks. One team sort of gets command and wins for a pretty good chunk of years. How important is it to make sure they haven't started one? With the way they beat you last year, how important is it to quelch that momentum?
I mean, I don't know if the momentum, usually you say the momentum a year ago shouldn't have anything to do with this year. We've got a much different team. Many of the players in our locker room weren't here, but there's certainly many that were. I don't want to, skirt over that issue, but it's always important. I mean, I want to win every year, every game, and whether it's this week or it was last week. And I don't know if there has been some streaks. I don't know what that exactly looks like, but we need to play well this week. That's the expectation. That's what we're working for. That's what we're preparing for. That's what our guys should expect if they have a great week of work. And again, we should be a confident football team going against another confident football team.
Hey, Brent, I know you talked about Danny's improvement before, and you've mentioned that lots of times it's understanding and recognition. But was there a time for you when you sort of saw the key in the lock almost for him, that it sort of started to come together in a way that maybe you saw the direction he was headed?
Yeah, I would say probably this summer. Just his leadership, he just took it to another level. He just demanded a lot from his teammates. Told the coaches to stand aside, and had a wonderful summer with the guys. And of course, that's he had a lot of willing teammates that went along, but a lot of them incredibly hard work on their own all summer long. And I think it takes that first to really start to come into your own as a player, and through all that work, the improvement in his knowledge, the improvement through that work. He had a lot of confidence coming into the season, and up to this point, he's played pretty good.
George? Hey, Brent. There's always a lot of discourse this week, whether it's from fans or us, the media, generate a lot of it. We only got 4 guys to talk to this week, 4 veteran guys. Is that just a decision of, hey, we have a singular focus, this is a
game? You want me to be totally honest. I know how, like, a lot of times on Mondays or Tuesdays, when you talk to the guys, it's still about last week. It's never about this opponent. And this week is always my 13, 14 plus years experience is that we try to get somebody. That's how I see it, right, wrong, or indifferent. I still like y'all and respect y'all, but it's like, let me see if we can get him to say something. And so that's now we want to talk about this week's opponent, So we got 4 good ones to represent us, the right way. But that's it.
Does that just speak, though, to, like, this week is different than a lot of weeks?
I mean, it's not different for us in a lot of ways. Most ways it's not. I do think that for the media, it's a bigger deal. That's not a bad thing. It's not a great thing, whatever it is. But that's my experience in dealing, that's a lot of experience. Mm-hmm.
Brent, you mentioned Brooks and what he's been doing on the ground. It seems like he's really got it rolling the last 3 weeks especially. What have you seen from him that makes him so effective in the running game?
Yeah, he's got a really good offensive line. They've got all 5 returning offensive linemen from a year ago, so very experienced. They're physical, well coached, know what they're doing. And then he's got strength, power, patience. He's got great pace. He plays really well behind his pads and runs with, confidence.
Your defense has been bolstered by, a group of young players at every level of your defense that you're playing. What kind of impact are they having? And if you could take kind of a deep dive schematically, what Texas does on offense that makes them so efficient, because they've been so good this year. Could you talk about both those things, please?
Yeah. Again, offensively, Coach Sarkisian does a wonderful job in his presentation and putting guys in position to be successful. He's had tremendous success for a long time, scheming and offensively does a wonderful job, and got excellent players and knows how to get them the football. And it's both running and throwing, not just one or the other. What was your first question?
You have all these young players that are playing, whether it's P.J. Thomas, whether it's your backup backers that get into the game, or R. Mason Thomas and Peyton Bowen's playing so much. What kind of impact is that having on your defense?
Yeah, they're all hungry. It's many of the frontline guys. If it's Deshaun McCullough or it's Jaron Kanik, and guys that you just named. We got several first-year players. Some of them a lot of them are young in their age, or maybe it's their first year as a transfer. But they're hungry, they're driven, they really feed off each other. We've got tremendous chemistry, respect. Guys are willing to take ownership of their own work, and both the good and the bad. And so that makes learning and teaching, getting better, improving a lot easier when guys get out of their own way. But they're a competitive group of guys, some highly talented guys that have humility. They're really competitive. They're willing to work for what, their opportunities. And again, we have an opportunity for exponential growth as a result. Mm-hmm.
Brent, from the outside looking in, I think the thinking going into the season on the wide receivers was a lot of potential, but not so much proven track record behind Jaleel and Drake.
That's fair, yeah.
But as guys started to compete in fall camp and separate themselves, when did you start to recognize what you guys had, and what were those distinguishing factors with that group?
Well, stay healthy, and another year of, we had several freshmen, just young guys that they were just freshmen, whether it's Freeman or it's, Gibson or it's Anderson, those guys in particular. Certainly we got Petaway, that's a freshman now. And then, again, we've had a couple of transfers. JJ hasn't played. He just got cleared. And Andrell just got here, in the summertime. So there's a lot that you just didn't know. Probably leaving out somebody. And but LV was, a second year here. And then you had two guys with Drake and, Jaleel that had proven, but we didn't have a proving starting group. We certainly didn't have proven depth. And the improvement was very incremental. And then you got to get into games, to me, to prove that you've made the improvement in all the right areas, if that's blocking, if that's making competitive plays. Fall camp, we start making, several competitive plays, more so than what we had as a group. And again, the season, has given guys the opportunity, and they've responded. But Emmett's done a great job. They've all done a great job at working at their craft, spending a lot of extra time together, with the quarterbacks. And again, a year ago, just didn't, we weren't able to have, several of the guys are just freshmen out of high school, and it just took a little while from a, maturation standpoint.
Yeah, Brent, Jacob Lacey is the only first-year player to be named a captain for this week. What does that say about him, and how pleased have you been with the production at the tackle spot?
Yeah, a lot of times they may not show up in the stat sheet, but they're spilling the ball to somebody else or getting, we had the most knockdowns we had all year last week, and a lot of guys with several knockbacks. Jacob has, remember, he had missed since late May, and he's just kind of getting into his groove, if you will, when it comes to, the speed of the game, the fundamentals, pad level, playing quick and efficient. And he's a really, really hard-working guy, super positive, easy to coach, brings out the best in guys around him. And so he's, earned this opportunity.
Brent, this weekend will be the first time since 2011 both teams are undefeated going into the game. That last time you guys won pretty handily. The defense had 3 touchdowns. Just maybe what do you remember about that 2011 game, and when both teams have a lot on the line like this weekend, how do you keep the team, poised and make sure they stay focused? Well,
as we know, this game is always really important regardless if you're both undefeated or not. I remember Coach Harsin was the offensive coordinator, and we had a good team that year. We played really well that day. I think they maybe returned a kick for a touchdown. Is that right, in that game? So I remember I was mad about that. I say mad. All in the right perspective, but we had scored 3 defensive touchdowns, and I remember that. And it was beautiful day.
Coach, Texas has done a real good job of recruiting, as you have, but along the offensive and defensive fronts, it seems they are a little bit ahead. I'm wondering how you compare the two fronts, just in the physical nature and the impact of the game. Can you address that?
Well, again, I think that goes without saying, and Texas has recruited well for a long time. They've done a great job from a development standpoint, both lines of the scrimmage. I like where our guys are at, and our guys have, we've recruited well as well, and I feel like that our guys have made the improvement that we'd like, and we still want more, just like I'm sure they do. But it again should be a good matchup, both sides of the football. And I think if you want to win this game, I think you got to win the lines of scrimmage. You certainly can't lose the line of scrimmage. If it's a push and then some other part of the game that you're better in. But I think that's going to be a critical part of this game, no doubt about it.
I'll take you back to the 2011 game Jesse referenced, Brent. The first turnover you forced that day, you called blitz off the edge with Colvin and Nelson corner in at linebacker. Worked out perfect. Forced the first turnover. Sort of set the tone for what was a really good day for your defense. The camera cut to you, and you were as excited about the play as your guys. I'm going to use that to ask whether this is a pride game for coaches as much as it is players.
Yeah, I'll just be honest. This may not be the answer that you're looking for, but every week your pride is at stake, and I don't say pride as an ego, just pride in everyone's work together. And there's nothing that that satisfies me more as a coach is to see our players have success through all their hard work. So, hey, I'll never make apologies for celebrating, the success of from a lot of hard work. See the players have success and be excited. This is a game of emotion and enthusiasm and intensity and a lot of hard work and a lot of tough moments. So when you have an opportunity to celebrate and keep it in perspective. Celebrate hard, don't celebrate long. And but again, this game is, there's a lot of people in this state and a lot of alumni that are south of the Red River that, I've always taken great pride in doing a good job with whatever role I had, knowing that the college universities that I work for are counting on us to put out a great product and something for them to be proud of. That part, listen, I don't coach for cheers and likes and clicks, and I don't when things go bad, I'm not affected that way either. What I'm affected is when we're not putting a good product on the field. And I take pride in watching people have joy in watching our guys play with incredible effort, fundamentals, toughness, precision, with an edge, with class. I take pride in that. And that's in every single game I've ever coached. I know that's a responsibility of my position as a coach, as a coordinator, certainly as a head coach. It all falls under you as a coach. If you got the right stuff to you, it should matter to you. And so I live in this community. I live in this state. I've always, wherever I've been, it's home. It's not a job. It's home. And so I've always taken, just look at myself, and there's a huge responsibility. And part of our responsibility is to, or maybe the gratification comes from having people that love your team, the Sooners, have pride in how we're doing what we're doing. We play football, we win games, but how we do what we do, to me, that's what people take the most pride in. Mm-hmm.
Cliff Front, third row, right side. Coach, I noticed you have different leaders as receivers in touchdowns, receptions, and yardage, which I think is kind of unusual. Kind of hard to tell who the favorite receiver is, if there is one. Is that more of a scheme, game plan type thing, or is that more of just Dylan having command out there?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, but I think it's a credit to all the players getting open, and then I think Dylan having the poise to go through his reads and take advantage of where the openings are, if you will, and but I think all of it together, this great chemistry, great understanding by everybody involved, then everybody gets an opportunity to have some success.
Way back, John Hooper. Yeah, Brent, you just mentioned emotion and intensity of this game. You're going to be counting on a lot of freshmen, a lot of first-year players, a lot of transfers, a lot of young guys. What's your message to them about the waves of emotion that come and go in this game? And is your message going to be lost on them until they actually get down there and feel it for themselves?
Well, again, it's going to be the same. At some point in time every week, I talk about don't allow your emotions to hijack you, and from a poise, from a execution, from a precision, from a focused intensity. You can't just be intense and a crazy guy out there. You gotta have a focused intensity. You gotta, which leads to details and precision and execution. And you go to practice, and it's a very passionate, intense practice. And I want our guys to feel a sense, some semblance of a game day. And the accountability that goes with it too, so that by game day, and again, you're not losing your mind. I'm not naive. I know what an environment can do, and but we're talking and trying to nurture that year round, and not to allow external factors to be a part of the game. Hey man, it should be a privilege to be in these moments where there's pressure and there's high expectations, but don't allow that emotion to hijack you and keep you from doing what you need to do do your one of 11 on one of those three parts of the game.
All right, John Shin.
Yeah, Brent, kind of piggybacking off what Uwe asked. With so many transfers nowadays, it used to be maybe a quarter of your roster. This was the first time they were experiencing this game, but you knew it was only going to be about a quarter every year. You mentioned last night 50 guys. This will be their first trip down there this year. Yeah. I mean, do you have to spend a little more time trying to educate them on what they're going to get into?
We again just assuming that, say it's a year, you have 10 new guys. I mean, you spend time every year trying to. When we were going to Jack Trice Stadium a year ago, we spent time. All right, here's what's going to be like. You're trying to when you're not in familiar territory, they have an expectation now here at home. So I think every coach in America will try to create some level of comfort, ahead of time. All right, here's what we can expect. This is what it's going to look like. Again, until you're in all those different environments, nothing. Is going to be adequate enough. But you only have so much time in a week. Still, same size field and all those things. Still comes down to a game of doing and execution, and nobody in the stadium is going to play. And so again, you just hopefully through several months of nurturing maturity and mindset and focus and the things that it takes to win, hopefully those things will become second nature. But a lot of these games, this game in particular, my experience has been that there comes a few crucial moments. There's some games that it wasn't competitive for the other side of the ball early on, but many of the games, it comes down to a critical. We were doing the radio show last night talking about the Superman play, and we had, I believe that was the play before we had our field goal kicker had punted the ball, and they inadvertently tried to recover it there and kept it out of the end zone and fumbled the ball around there, and now they're backed up 7-3 with not much time, pinned inside their own 5-yard line. And And so now you got a conservative approach, and we play good defense, and now it's time, to throw the ball, and they expose themselves in a really tough part of the field, and next you know it's 14-3. And so those types of miscues, if you will, have been a big part of a lot of these games. And so having poise under pressure will be a big part of it this Saturday. And there'll be some of those pivotal moments and/or plays that'll be a big part from a momentum swing or a kind of seal the deal, if you will.
Hey, Brent. Brennan's obviously a guy who's been on the other sideline of this thing. Just how important was it to get him acclimated last week? And
who?
Brendan Thompson?
Yeah.
Just how important was it to get him acclimated last week? And, you mentioned not getting sidetracked by emotions. Just what are you looking for out of him in a game where there is an extra element for him?
Yeah, just try to take away the burden of expectations. Again, you're one of 16 guys in a position group, and you get on the field, you're one of 11. Do your job, do it well, do it with toughness and precision and detail, no more, no less. And so you just try to get them to play with the right mindset.
Someone who said that the reason why I wanted to come here, a big reason was that he felt like this fit who he was more, the culture here. Obviously, don't want you to compare it to Texas, but just when you were talking to his family, to him, just what made you feel like he was going to be the right fit for what you guys do represent here?
Well, we had a lot of coaches that had relationships with him and his family through the recruiting process. I knew of him coming out of high school, but you talk to him and his mom, for 5 minutes, and immediately they're amazing people, and they would fit in any environment really well. Just great people. He's got a humble, hardworking mindset, incredibly talented, and he's been a great teammate. He's done everything we've asked him to do. Was a little snake bit with being a hamstring injury, but got great speed, very explosive, and he's nowhere close to what we feel like he can be when it's all said and done. Mm-hmm.
Brent, you mentioned being ready for the pivotal moments. Your kicking game, seems like Zach and Josh have had some ups and downs. Do you feel good about where that stands going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, again, I look at it comparatively speaking. I think the sum of our parts in the kicking game has been really, really good, and so a good offense helps the punter, right? A bad offense doesn't help the punter. A bad defense doesn't help the kicking game, and so I think our kicking game has been really solid through the first 4 games and 5 games, and have a chance, if we improve in some other areas, not having anything to do with Zach or Josh, we could be outstanding. And again, they've been really good. And like every other position on our team, there's room for improvement. And they'll be the first ones to admit that. But they've done a good job, and we're going to need them. They'll be a big part of this game without question.
I know ahead of fall camp, and then again after the Iowa State game, you mentioned the middle eight and just the need for the team to improve their heading into this season. How do you kind of emphasize that in the offseason, and what does that process look like? Yeah,
it's just being focused, not getting satisfied within the game, understand being in the moment from a detail standpoint, an efficiency standpoint, understand what's at stake, creating momentum going into halftime, creating momentum coming out of halftime. There's statistical information that'll validate all of that, but you get into rhythm on either side of the ball. If you're lined up against that, that's a hard thing sometimes to stop. It's a real thing in sports, and so to me, more than anything else, it's a mindset and it's a focus. Being present in those moments. Both coaches and players. Coaches are not immune to having a crappy series. Of play calling. God, I put them in a bad call. Man, I got us in a bad start. That's a very again, that's a obvious thing, but so everybody's got to have a real focus to them, and you know, all hands on deck mindset.
Tom, James. Hey, Coach, when you look at Texas' receiver score, like such as Mitchell and Worthy, what kind of skill sets are they bringing into this game? And, you know, how are you planning on going after that pretty much in this game?
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out. If anybody's got any ideas, let me know. They're really good. They're super fast. They're big, great hands. They play with great effort. I see great teammates. You know, if they're not getting the ball, they're blocking, cracking, celebrating their teammates' success. I look at all that. I like to try to get to know an opponent. You know, feel like connected, so I can do a good job of when we're in our moments in the meeting room or on the practice field. I can adequately portray what our guys are getting ready to face. But these guys are home run hitters, man. They're the real deal. Excellent players. They're going to play the game a long time. And our guys are excited about the challenge. It's going to be a real challenge. And but you know, I got to challenge our guys if we want to, because our guys know we haven't played fully to our capability. And if you want to get there, then you got to have challenge to create the change that you want, and so you need the challenge, and to see where we're at and get exposed, and you know where we got to go to work at. But these guys are really, really good, and they're well coached.
Time for three more on the left side.
Over here, Brent. Obviously, quarterback play is always big in a game like this. When people look at yours, they kind of think passing the football, but the last couple of games, he's ripped off some pretty good runs, and people probably don't think of him that way. Just kind of talk about the challenge of dealing with that, along with the receivers and the running backs and everything else they have on offense.
Yeah, they're, again, incredibly efficient. They're in the RPO world, like everybody in college football, and they're really good at all the spots. So it's hard for you to, like, all right, let's take these guys away and let's make them count on this. You know, you have several games. Well, let's cut the head off the snake. Whatever they got all kinds of them. You know, everywhere. It's not coach speak. They're really good and talented, and there's not an area that we don't have to play well. We need to play well everywhere. You're not going to just luck up and win a game like this. Sometimes certain places you can be much better and overcome some mistakes. These guys will punish you for the smallest mistakes, and you've got to be efficient, and we don't concede anything. That's just to me, that's a mindset. It's a philosophy. Every once in a while, every game there'll be moments where you say, well, they executed. We are not in a call that's great for that, and so you, as a play caller, you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. You don't want to have that self-talk during the game that much. But that's that's kind of the, I don't know if it's a chess match, but there's our run defense, our pass defense, our situational defense, both sides of the ball. It's got to be really good. If we're in zone, we got to be tight. We're in man, we got to be tight. You can't give these guys space anywhere. They'll just chew you up. It's again a great challenge.
Coach, talk about the benefit of having a healthy Dylan Gabriel playing at a high level, playing with an edge, going for you this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's just good for our team this season. He's been a huge part from a leadership standpoint and again, an efficiency standpoint, where we're at right now through 5 games. Couldn't ask for much better. You'd have to be pretty dang picky to find some places, but he's done incredibly well. He's made improvement. He's making great decisions. Again, playing with great confidence, and still having the humility and the respect for what it takes to be successful. Again, he practices with a game-like mentality, and it shows up. He's been playing within the system and trusting people around him. And again, the surrounding supporting cast has been playing well as well. But again, every week is a season of its own, and It's a best of one, and so you got to start completely over, and this is a game of doing, and so that's the rear view mirror. The first 5 games, he should be confident because of the work that he's put in and the success that we've had. But every week you got to start over, and regardless of if you've not done well or you've done well, you got to have a best of one mentality.
Another thing with Dylan, Brent, with what you've been able to do with him in the run game, is that just a natural evolution of the offense, or something you've always envisioned, or is it a way to kind of kickstart the run game as a whole?
No, it's I think most good offenses that you see out there today have some element of that. A year ago, we weren't. We didn't have much depth at all at quarterback. We're a little better there now, and so I think every team that had issues maybe with the depth at quarterback would stay away from it as much as possible. And as you get a little more, it's just to have it as an element, when you need it and you feel like it can put you in a good position to be successful. More than willing to do it. Defenses will be the first one to tell you, that design quarterback run with somebody that can also throw the ball it's a tough challenge. And, he's got good enough instincts to be, to hurt you that way. And again, he's done a nice job, using his legs to improvise, and he does a good job of keeping his eyes down the field as well to, throw guys open. All right, y'all have a good one.